All right, so today we're going to talk about some different propaganda techniques, and you will be incorporating one or more of these techniques into your propaganda poster. So, with all of these examples, I just kind of want to make clear that these are sometimes used in advertising, they're sometimes used for politics, but I'm not saying that any of these are right or wrong or that someone who uses them is good or bad, right? Propaganda, we've talked about before, can be used for good purposes. It can also be used for more negative purposes. So I'm just discussing what the techniques are and showing some examples of them, but that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong or good or bad to use them. Everyone there, these are just the techniques, and different people can use them in different ways for different purposes. So the first one is, we'll just go over again the brief definition of propaganda. Techniques used to influence opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior. Its purpose is to benefit the sponsor and to persuade. And we talked about this before, but it appeals to the emotions, not to the intellect. So this is really important. Your propaganda that you create needs to have an emotional appeal, right? You want to make the audience feel something, whether that is fear, happiness, patriotism, sadness, anger, whatever it might be. It's going to aim to influence the person that sees it because of their emotions, not because of like their logic, or their intellect. And that's not to say that people who see propaganda are not smart. It's just that it's meant to appeal to people's emotions. So here are the types of propaganda that we will go over: name calling, glittering generalities, patriotism, testimonial, plain folks, bandwagon, fear, and slippery slope. With all of this, you can take notes if you want to, but I'd prefer you just follow along in the slideshow. You have the link to the slideshow, so you can kind of follow along. I wanted you to be able to see the examples and see the definitions and refer back to them. So the first one is name calling. It's a way of bad mouthing an opponent. The intention is to damage and make others suspicious of the opponent, and this can be used by politicians and product companies. So here you've got two sort of variations on the same kind of style of poster. This was a poster that was originally made with Obama's image, and it said hope at the bottom. But you can see then that some people from, maybe that didn't share Obama's ideology changed it, and it says snob. And then you can see here another example, someone who maybe doesn't share Donald Trump's ideology, and they have put joke on it. So we're name calling here, right? We're not talking about any particular ideologies or any particular specific reasoning for why you might not like someone, or you might like someone. It's just sort of calling the names, right? And so you can see like both sides of the political spectrum do this. Advertisers do it as well. You have here Silly Whopper, that's a Big Mac box. This is a Burger King ad where they're kind of poking fun at the Big Mac. Here you've got how do you like your chicken noodle, with MSG or without. So again, kind of, we're not like calling a name in the same sense that we are over here, but we're still sort of poking fun at the other product, bad mouthing it, damaging their reputation. Okay, so name calling is your first technique. Glittering generalities is the next one. So this is a statement that jumps from a few cases to all. They call it glittering because it's falsely attractive. So they're going to use words that sound good and sound attractive, but these words might have very different meanings to different people. So in the advertising world, you can see here like Gillette, the best a man can get. Well, what is the best, right? What's best for one or two people might not be the best for everyone. So we're generalizing, right? We're making it seem falsely attractive because what's good to one person or best to one person could mean something totally different to someone else. You have some more examples here. These are from the 2004 election, I want to say. I could be wrong. So you've got two different slogans here. This is the Bush campaign, a safer world, a more hopeful America. Okay, well, that sounds great, maybe, right? But like, what does safer mean to you? What does hopeful mean to you? Those things mean different things to different people. And so it sort of has this like false sort of generalization where what that actually means to you might be different than what it means to someone else. Same thing here. They ran against John Kerry, and their campaign slogan was "A Stronger America." So same idea here. What does stronger mean to you? It might mean something different than it means to these particular politicians. So, glittering generalities is sort of like that slogan that sounds good, but it's kind of subjective. It has a different meaning to different people. Next, you have patriotism. So, these are actions that will display a love of country, and you are implying that the person will financially help the country or support the country in some way. So, you see this a lot in propaganda. We've seen these with the different war efforts, right? I want you for the US Army. In this poster, you've got 1778, so like the Revolutionary War, comparing them to the soldiers in 1943 during World War II. It says Americans will always fight for liberty. So this is supposed to make you feel patriotic, make you feel proud, make you feel like you owe the country a debt, and therefore are encouraging people to sign up to join the war effort. Again, here, defend American freedom. It's everybody's job. Again, right? Trying to tie into that idea of patriotism. And advertisers do this too. Okay, so here's a Chevy ad. It says an American Revolution. So again, it's supposed to make you feel like, okay, I'm supporting an American company. I'm supporting my home country, the citizens of my country. I'm going to financially benefit my country. Okay, so advertisers definitely do this as well, but you do see it a lot in political ads as well. Next is testimonial. So this would be a statement endorsing an idea or a product by a prominent person. It's usually celebrities, could be musical artists, sports stars, actors, actresses. Here's a couple of ads that are just an example. Usain Bolt advertising for Puma, Shaquille O'Neal advertising for Icy Hot. But you also see this throughout political campaigns where different politicians will have different celebrities come and campaign with them on the campaign trail. And there's tons of examples of that happening as well. That's the same kind of idea where a celebrity is endorsing a product or endorsing a position or endorsing a politician. Next, we have plain folks. So this is where the speaker attempts to convince their audience that they and their ideas are normal or are just like you, even if they might not be. So again, you see this, like I said many times, in advertising and in politics. Both sides of the spectrum do this. So I'm not saying that like one side is good for doing it or one side is bad for doing it. They do it across the board. So you see here, this is a Mitt Romney ad, and you can see like you've got like these people in the background. It looks like he's maybe like on I don't know, like a farm or something, right? So just sort of like this, like down home, like he's just like you, right? And same thing here with Hillary Clinton, like she'll get the job done for us, and she's shaking hands with these, workers. They look like maybe they work in a warehouse. So again, both of these politicians are probably very wealthy people, but they're trying to portray this image that, they're just like everyone else. They're normal. They're just like you. And then that can make you feel like, oh, they're just like me, so I should support them. And you see that in advertising as well. You have Brett Favre here, right? And he's wearing Wranglers. It says you can count on Wrangler, comfort, quality, value. Well, Brett Favre is certainly a very wealthy person, right? But he's sitting in the back of his truck. He's with his dog, right? So you're supposed to sort of feel like, hey, that's like me. I do that too. And so I should buy this product, or I should think this way. Also a little bit of testimonial here, right? Because you've got a celebrity. Okay, next we've got bandwagon. So bandwagon, it basically just invites you to join the crowd, right? It's saying like, hey, come join in. Everybody's doing it. It draws on people's desire to not miss out. So if you've probably heard like the phrase FOMO before, right? The fear of missing out. This is what bandwagon preys on, is that it wants you to feel like, oh, I have to do this because everyone's doing it. Advertisers use this a lot. Here's an example, an older example from Coca-Cola, the drink everybody knows. Well, if everybody knows it, then I should drink it too, right? Or here, step into your place. Again, this would be an ad trying to recruit people for the army, right? And so you can see like all these people of all these different walks of life, and they're all joining in the army, right, to support their country. Same thing here, join us in a victory job, right? So it's like all these different types of women, and you should join them too, right? So it's just inviting you to join in with the crowd, be part of the crowd, and do what everyone else is doing. Next, you have fear. So fear warns members of the audience that a disaster will result if they don't follow a particular course of action, and it plays on audiences' deep-seated fears usually. So these are all examples from during the war. We talked about the when you ride alone, you ride with Hitler piece before. Here's one: wanted for murder, her careless talk cost lives. So there was a big kind of push to not divulge any information that could potentially damage the war effort. And so they put out a lot of these ads that kind of made you fear that if you said something, then you were going to cost the soldiers their lives, right? And same thing here. It's the same idea in this ad: loose lips might sink ships. So if you mention something and then it gets to the wrong person and then they tell someone else, then that could result in the death of our soldiers. So it's kind of playing on those fears that that your audience might have. And they might not really be warranted fears, but that's what you're playing off of. Okay, last one, slippery slope. So you're making huge predictions about the future on the basis of a few small facts. So it's like the idea of like, do X or else Y will happen. Like if you don't do this, then this bad thing will happen. Or if you do this, then all of these other things are going to fall into place and happen, which might not be true. Okay, so again, you see this, it could happen here unless we keep them firing. This is a political piece of propaganda from the war, right? Saying that, if we don't keep our planes and our tanks running, then like what happened in Europe can happen here. And I mean, maybe, but that's not really like a super logical conclusion based on what was happening at the time. So it's just sort of like making these huge predictions, just again, based on few facts. Again, this one, someone talked. So it's like a soldier or a, person that is drowning because someone told, um, like I said in the last slide, they said something and then someone else told someone, and then it has now caused them to, in this case, be drowning. So it kind of plays into fear again, but it's more based on sort of making predictions and saying like, if you do or don't do whatever this one thing is, then here's these terrible things that will happen as a result. And so that is slippery slope. So those are just a few of the propaganda techniques that we are going to look at, and you will need to pick at least one of them for your project.